All right, good to see everybody. Sounds like I'll be seeing some of you live out here on the practice fields, which is great. Really excited to get out there and start competing. You know, we've had 2 days of phase 2 where you're on air, and then today we get to get on the grass and compete against each other. So, you know, I think that's great. And I just mentioned the players last night, though, we got to be smart about how we compete. We got to take care of each other. We're just in helmets out there. So there's a way to practice and get a lot out of practice, but we got to make sure that we're smart. So excited to get the guys out there. We won't have JC Treader out there. He had a procedure on his knee yesterday, and we won't have Myles Garrett out there. He tweaked a hamstring, but he should be fine. But you will see everybody else out on the practice field. So with that, I will take your questions.
Our first one's going to be from Tom Withers.
Let's go to JC right away then. Kevin, how long will he potentially be out?
We'll see, Tom. I'm going to make sure I listen to the medical professionals.
Okay. Was it surgery then, or is it
He had a procedure on his knee.
Procedure on his knee. Okay. Hey, we just talked to Baker a little bit, and I know you don't have a whole lot of a frame of reference, Kevin, in terms of only seeing him on film and what have you before this year. But how does he look on the field? He talked a lot about, you know, leaning out and working on himself both physically and emotionally. And, you know, what have you seen here in the early going?
Yeah, I think I've seen a guy like we talked about that has taken this job seriously and making sure he's ultra prepared for the job. You know, we haven't practiced yet. So it'd be, you know, we got to get a few days into this to make any statements about any player, but really like where Baker is at from a schematic standpoint, from a physical standpoint, and definitely from a mental standpoint.
Thanks, Coach.
Excellent. Jake Trotter, excuse me, you're up.
Yeah, hey, Kevin. You know, on piggybacking on that, conversations you've had with Baker going back to when you first met him, you know, he said today that he, you know, feels like he's in a really good place, as Tom referenced, mentally, physically. You know, how many conversations have you had with him about kind of rediscovering himself, as he put it, you know, finding his way again and being the guy that he needs to be for your football team and for this franchise?
I think any conversation I have with all the players, you know, at times there's not a goal in mind other than to get to know people. So it's not like he's laid on my couch or I've laid on his couch. And I mean, it's, you know, we're just getting started here. So I appreciate where he is. I think he's done a nice job as a leader of this football team, and just excited to get on the grass with him.
Great. Our next question will be from Nate Ulrich. Nate, your line's open. Go ahead.
Hey, thank you. Hey, Coach. With JC Treader, is there anything you can tell us about the severity? Like, is this something he could possibly make it back for the opener with, or could it be more long-term? And then what's your plan at center in the meantime?
Yeah, Nate, I'm not going to get into the specifics, but just want to give you guys a heads up. So as you're doing your crossword puzzle, and listen everybody who's not on the field, but we got a plan for him. I'm going to defer to the medical staff, to Joe and the docs. And then in the interim, it's a great opportunity for Nick Harris to get a ton of reps. So excited to see Nick out there.
Mary Kay Cabot, you're up.
Okay, well, I was going to ask about Nick Harris and the center position, so I will pivot here, as you usually say. Just in terms of Baker Mayfield and how we've seen him look so far, just from agility standpoint, a footwork standpoint, it looks like the ball is coming out really well. Do you feel like what you've been able to see so far, that new footwork has translated to better accuracy, and how excited are you about that?
Yeah, I'd tell you, Mary Kay, we're so early into the stages of training camp. I think it shows up that he has worked very hard. I think Coach Van Pelt and the entire quarterback room have little things that they're working on, and they're doing a nice job. But I do think we need to get into practice, get into full speed to truly see all of our players where they're at from a physical standpoint.
Okay, thanks.
Go to Scott Petrick.
Hey, Coach, how disappointing is it that Myles won't be able to be out there first day? I mean, you know, giant contract. I'm sure he wants to be out there.
Yeah, I mean, disappointed because you want to see the big guy out there on the grass. But not overly concerned. I think we'll get him back out there soon enough, and he's locked and loaded. He's just went through the practice. Just went through the walkthrough. So he's doing really well.
And I'm wondering personally for you, does this feel like kind of a first day? I know you've been in charge for a while, but getting the whole team on the practice, going head to head, first time as a head coach?
Yeah, I don't look at it that way, Scott, just because we've been on the field so much in the last week or so. So I'm just excited for the players to get a chance to have a competitive period, to go through one-on-ones, to really, that's the fun part in this, is finding a way to practice hard, practice smart, get a ton of work done. So really looking forward to it.
Thanks.
All right, we'll go to Daryl Ryder.
Hey, Coach, right guard is obviously something that you're going to be watching for during camp. Us as well. Is it fair to say that Wyatt Teller's the leader in the clubhouse there? And what can you tell us about the two young guys you added, Fair and Dunn, as far as your expectation for them to compete for that job?
Yeah, Wyatt had a really good offseason. As we break the huddle on day one, Wyatt will be in there. And I think he knows this, and every player knows this. You're constantly working to keep that job. I'm working to keep my job. So I hope there's pressure on him, like there are on a lot of people, to compete and go earn some roles. And then the two young players we added, we're going to continue to make sure we're looking for ways to improve our football team. And they're going to spend a lot of time with Coach Callahan and Coach Peters to get them up to speed.
Go back to Nate Ulrich.
Coach, on this topic of guard, can you tell us anything about Ronald Leary visiting, how that went, and do you think him coming here could be in the cards?
Yeah, I really can't comment on visits, Nate. I'll leave that in AVP's court.
Tom Withers, you're up.
Hey, Kevin, what of the protocols, because I asked you a few weeks ago how camp would look and how practice would look. Of the protocols, what is the most inhibiting? What is I don't want to use the word frustrating, but what makes it most difficult to have a normal practice?
Well, let me have a normal practice first before I can answer that.
I got you.
We'll see. I mean, you're going to see me like this out there, So what I try to do is if I'm back far enough, I'll pull it down so that they can hear me. But listen, that's part of the drill. That's just how it is. So I don't know yet, Tom, but I think it'll look like practice.
When we've talked also in the past about the shared responsibility that the players have, and I know you've talked and preached to them about that. Have you used these cases that baseball has had? I mean, the Indians had a situation where players kind of went beyond the team's code of conduct and stuff. Do you use that as lessons and stuff you guys can gain from or learn from?
I definitely do.
Thanks, Tom. We'll go to Scott Petrick.
Hey, Coach, how different do you think it'll be without fans out there for camp?
Yeah, it's going to be weird. That's a very unfortunate part of this. And I haven't experienced camp here with the Cleveland Brown fans, but just from what I've heard, it sounds like all of Northeast Ohio used to be here during training camp. So it's a shame. We'd love to have them out here. So in the meantime, they got to watch Browns live, I'm told. But we'll do our best to make sure that this is an exciting time for them and get some information to our fans. Because listen, I mean, that's a huge part of why we do this. So we're going to make sure we engage them as much as we can.
And we just talked to Grant Delpert for a bit. What have been your early impressions, and where do you see him fitting in your defense?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think he's got to earn a role, and I think we have high hopes for the kid, and Joe and his staff are going to look for ways that he can help us, and I think that remains to be seen. And I think that really we've been evaluating him from the meeting rooms to the walkthroughs, and now we get to see some full speed reps and see where we can fit him in and help this football team win.
Thanks, Scott. We'll go to Mary Kay and then Daryl, and we'll call it a day there. Mary Kay, you're up.
We had Jarvis a little bit earlier, and he mentioned that once you guys start getting into some of the team stuff that he's going to kind of take it easy a little bit. So are you guys really going to just kind of err on the side of caution with him just to make sure you can get him to the opener?
I think we have a really good plan for him, Mary Kay, like we do all of our guys. We spend some time really talking about each guy and where they are and what we want to do. So Some guys may be a little bit limited today and full go tomorrow, or monitor their reps. We just got to be, really aware of that. And obviously Jarvis had that surgery, but he's doing really well, and really pleased with where he is, and we'll be smart about how we bring him along.
Thank you.
Thank you, Daryl. You can close the day.
Coach, you joked about just you want to see about holding a normal practice before you're able to really comment much on anything. I am curious, though, how much do you anticipate you having to pivot from how you would normally do things or how you would run a practice as a coach versus how you've structured practices for the environment that you're in? Just I'm curious as the differences from how you would normally do it to how you're going to do it.
Yeah, to be honest with you, once we hit the practice field, it's I would ask you guys the question after practice: does it look like what you think it would look like? And I think the answer is probably going to be yes. We've worked very, very diligently to create a safe environment for our players and our staff, and they've done a great job. We're going to continue to follow the protocols and go beyond them in a lot of cases. But when we're on the practice field, I think by and large, you'll see what looks like a normal training camp practice.